The cutler is the weakest weapon in Order of Ecclesia. A while back, I attempted to beat the entire game using only this weapon. In that video, I said that if it got at least 30 likes, I'd attempt the most difficult area in the game, Large Cavern. The video did a bit better than I expected, so I guess I don't have a choice. Large Cavern is an area where you have to beat the strongest enemies in the game all up in a row. It consists of 8 different rooms with a boss at the end. And I can't just run past all the enemies either. If you don't defeat all the enemies, these doors will block your path. And naturally, there's no way to heal or save. For those who didn't watch the first part, Cutler not only has the lowest attack stat out of any weapon, it's also a slash weapon which most of the enemies here resist. Its only real advantage is its range, which to be fair is pretty good. Now, before I attempt this area, I want to set a few rules. The first one is that I won't be using any items. It would pretty much defeat the point of doing a challenge run, so I'm not using them here. The second one is that Cutler must be equipped in both weapon slots, and I can only deal damage using it. I will make an exception for the dive kick and slide, since these are mainly used for evading things and not so much for damage. Finally, I'm choosing to ban 2 items. The first one is the Queen of Hearts. This is a helmet that halves your heart consumption, and would make the area far too easy. The second one is Velocitus. This lets you fly around, and is honestly way too overpowered, so I won't be using it either. Also, I hid 3 skulls in this video. If you find them, I'll give you a shout out in my next video. And congrats to Trey3 for finding them on my Order of Ecclesia and Dawn of Sorrow video. My last one was half an hour, so I do have to say I'm impressed. And with that all out of the way, let's get into the challenge. Now, what you may notice first here is that I only have 1 hit point. This is because of Arma Custos. This ability raises my damage as I lose health. Without this ability, my damage would be so low that this area would be practically impossible. I also have Death Ring equipped, which makes any inflicted damage kill me, but raises my damage even further. With these 2 items, I'm able to deal pretty decent damage even to enemies that resist slash, with the small drawback that I can't afford to make any mistakes. The first room of Large Cavern is already a huge problem. It's filled with Tin Men, the most dangerous enemy in the game for this challenge. Even with all the buffs I get, I still only deal 1 damage. Thankfully, there's one thing I haven't mentioned. By exchanging 30 hearts, I'm able to use the Cutler's Glyph Union. This attack throws 30 knives. Now, this may not seem all too useful since I only deal 1 damage, but unlike my normal attack, these knives don't have an element, so I'm able to deal more than 1 damage here. Now, if you actually calculate how much damage I deal, I should only be able to kill 2 of the 5 Tin Men. For some reason though, sometimes they just all die. I have no clue why this happens, but I won't complain. Unfortunately, this is pretty luck-based, only happening around 50% of the time, which makes it lucky that this is the first room. If I'm able to get past that, the second room doesn't give us a break. 2 Demon Lords spawn here, and they're another big run killer. Now, the problem isn't actually defeating them. They are weak to slash, so it's not all too difficult. You see, on rare occasions, the Demon Lord will choose to use Globus. When he does this, he summons a glyph, which I can absorb to recover 10 hearts. Considering how important my Glyph Union is to beating enemies that resist slash, recovering hearts is absolutely crucial. To have even a decent chance of beating this area, I need to recover at least 20 hearts here. But this isn't easy. Demon Lords fly around basically randomly while they're tracking your character. If you're unlucky, they can just choose to fly into you. Furthermore, they rarely use Globus, usually only using it after 10 seconds of flying around if you're lucky. If you are lucky enough to replenish 20 hearts though, we're able to make it to the next room. We finally catch a small break here. This next room only has 1 enemy, the Double Hammer. Now, the Double Hammer is pretty intimidating, but he isn't all too difficult to beat. All you need to do is attack him from afar and jump over him when he rushes towards you. The only problem is that he can sometimes kick you while you're jumping over him, but thankfully this isn't very common. Now, if you do manage to defeat him, The next room isn't as merciful. This room has a Weapon Master. Now, once you enter the room, Weapon Master walks forward and throws 2 knives like boomerangs. This attack isn't that hard to avoid, but it puts me in a really bad position when the attack ends. The only viable option here is to jump over him. However, because of the hammer on his back, this isn't easy. To jump over him, you need to time your jump just as he leans over to attack, and dive kick so you don't get hit as he gets up. Thankfully, if you manage to jump over him, you basically have already beaten the enemy, since once he's done attacking, he'll be in phase 2, where he can't hit us. The next 2 rooms are a problem. In the first room, there's 2 double hammers, and in the second, there's 2 weapon masters. This seems like it'd be hopeless, but thankfully, there is a way to get through. The Cutler's Glyph Union comes in handy again. I'm able to use it to get rid of the first enemy of each room, and deal with the other without it. Unfortunately, since weapon masters are bulky and don't die to a single use, I need to use 90 hearts in total, leaving me with only 2 uses of my Glyph Union left. I also have to jump over the Weapon Master again. And after all that, we reach the most difficult room by far. This room holds 6 Tin Men and a Demon Lord. For whatever reason, I can't use the same strategy I used in the first room. It'll never work. So what, is this room impossible? Well, technically, no. There is a way to get past this room, but it's far from consistent. First, once you enter the room, you need to immediately jump and dive kick over the Tin Men. If you get it right, you'll barely be able to make it over the final Tin Man without dying. Now, though Tin Men are fast, they take a while to turn around. It's barely enough time to start doing dive kicks to get far away from the Tin Men. Now you need to use the Glyph Union. 1 isn't enough. You actually won't be able to kill them all if you use just 1. Right after you use the first one, you need to immediately backdash and use it a second time. If you're lucky, it'll work. It's the same coin flip as in the first room, but it's the only thing I tried that worked. Of course, it doesn't end there. Since we're out of hearts, I need to absorb 2 more Globuses before going to the next room. If I manage it, we only have 2 rooms left. In the next room, there's a double hammer and a weapon master. Thankfully, the double hammer comes first, so I only need to use my Glyph Union once. And after that, I need to jump over the weapon master 1 more time. And once he's defeated, I can proceed to the final room to fight the boss, Jiangshi. And, well, that's a large cavern. Now I just need to do all that without taking damage. Shouldn't be too hard, right? After over 300 tries, this was the first time I made it to the boss, Jiangshi. Now, this guy isn't actually that hard to beat. He's weak to slash, so I only need to hit him 55 times. His attacks are also pretty easy to dodge, but you never know what will happen. After all, this was my first chance at victory after over 300 tries. And this is how it went. Now, if you were counting here, you would have noticed I hit him 54 times here. One hit away from victory. Turns out Jiangshi doesn't have hitboxes on his arms. Probably would have been good to know before. And with that, yes, you can beat Large Cavern with only the Cutler. And after actually doing it, I can say that it was not worth it. Thanks for watching.